Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. So this is the third session of our AWS Smart City Week Indonesia. So we start yesterday actually for the first session, and second session we did this morning, and this is the third one. And we are focusing on the access education world. So we have so many good speakers here, very famous, absolutely. And let me introduce you. Okay, and we have first Prof. Nizam. Prof. Nizam is the Director General Higher Education, MOEC in Indonesia. And we have also Bapak Dr. Ilham Habibi as the Director of the Watiknas, right? And the third one, we have Dr. Madani from University Gajah Mada. And we also have a speaker from AWS, Vincent Kwah. He's the Regional Head for Education Research and Healthcare in APJ. And my name is Yopan. I'm the moderator of this session. Okay, today we are talking about the education world, and we would like to opening and also give time from our speakers as well to share about the thoughts in education, right? And after that, we'll have the panel discussion. So please share with us your question on the box. If you see on the right side, you have a question box, and you can put your question there, and also we can answer that on the session as well as on the panel discussion. And the last session, we have quiz, and this is very interesting quiz. So you have to be careful and then watch this whole session, because we will provide you the rewards, very good reward, right? So okay, let me okay, for the first time we have okay, Prof. Nizam. Hello, Prof. Nizam, can you hear me, Prof. Nizam? Hello, Prof. Nizam, can you unmute yourself and then click the camera button so you can hear you. Hello, Prof. Nizam. Okay, in the meanwhile, so I would like to say hey to Dr. Ilham Habibi. Hello, Pak Ilham, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Can you see and hear me?
Yes,
okay, good.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, Pak Ilham, waiting for Prof. Nizam. Will you please share with us your presentation first? After that, we can go to the opening session from Prof. Nizam. Is that okay for you?
No problem.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you
so much.
Pak Yopan. Okay, is my presentation on already? No, right? Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be with for all of us. My name is Ilham Habibi, and as already said by the moderator, I am the Chief Executive of the National ICT Council. So, yes, can I have the first slide, please? Hello, can I have the first slide? There seems to be some. Okay, good. Next slide, please. Yes, just a very brief introduction of what we are. Many people don't know what Watiknas is. Watiknas is a government entity where there's basically two layers: a steering committee and an executive team. Steering committee is headed by the president himself, and the rest of the members are cabinet members. And the executive team is very mixed. We are truly cross-sectoral. We have people from the government, from the private sector like myself, from academia, and also from professional organization, NGOs, etc., etc. That makes it truly unique. And our task is to basically give feedback, input to the government itself. Next slide, please. So these are the tasks, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. So just read the blue thing. We have to help formulating general policies and strategic directions. We resolve or help resolving existing strategic issues, particularly all of that in coordination or in basically about the impact of information and communication technology, or ICT. We conduct national coordination with central local governments, state-owned enterprises, whether regional owned or central government owned, and businesses. Basically, we are in the middle of it. And also, we participate in the approval of implementation in regards of interministerial information and communication technology development programs. And the last thing which we basically have embarked upon this year only is we are helping also in the context of digital transformation development. Can I have the next slide, please? Slide number 4. So the president has basically already given 5 priorities this year in order to accelerate digital transformation. These are the 5. You can read it here. I just emphasize some of them here. We do have to accelerate digital infrastructure access, expansion, improvement, and internet provision. This also includes actually not only the connectivity but also the affordability, because that is a major issue about digital technology and digital learning and digital everything is not only the connectivity but also the affordability. Also, the digital transformation for strategic sectors need to be prepared, and he gives a list here: the government itself, public services, social assistance, education, health, trade, etc., etc. Then, a very important part is that we have to basically adhere to a policy that we call One Data. So that needs a national data center where the data centers that we have so far distributed among many different government entities have to be basically coming under one umbrella. So to make sure that we don't have conflict of similar data but not exactly the same, and it confuses people, and because they are managed by different entities, it needs to be under one umbrella, and that requires actually good policy regarding national data center. And also, I think in the context of this seminar, we need a cloud first policy, actually how to basically put the data through the cloud into that national data center. Of course, along with this goes human resources development. That's important. If you don't have the people to execute it, we have been going nowhere. And also the funding needs to be prepared as well. Can I have the next slide, please? Just jump 2. This is just very academically. Now you have basically, we are in the so-called fourth, in the next slide of this, fourth industrial revolution. You see the 3 first one, I don't want to waste time on those, but right now, basically what happens is the connectivity of the computers that have been already there since the 3rd industrial revolution makes the whole industry, the economy, the whole country, the whole world a different one because of the interconnectivity of everything. And so that is basically the basis of the so-called Industry 4.0, the 4th industrial revolution, or the internet revolution. Can I have the next slide, please? So basically the digital landscape, you can see here on the right-hand side, there's the total population. Then you see a vast majority of our country, Indonesia, is already internet users. Please bear in mind that those people are usually actually accessing the internet through the mobile phone. So more than 90% are only mobile phone internet users. They don't have access to computers, tablets, or notebooks. They go to the mobile phone. That makes it very, very different when it comes to how to present oneself to the internet world. You have to consider that the user in Indonesia is using the mobile phone. Also, mobile subscription are going along with this. You see they are superseding actually the number of people in Indonesia in numbers. Why? Because some of us have 2 or even more phones. Social media also, I think, clear. Indonesia is a very vibrant, very dynamic society which uses social media to communicate and also to distribute news. In fact, sometimes to create action and counter action, etc. So it's very active, but I think this is not a particular new thing. In many countries around the world, we have it right now. So on the other part of the chart, you can see I like to focus on the internet economy market size. You see in 2015, we have the market size is about $8 billion US. In 2019, it's already 5 times. And in 2025, it will be, actually, if you compare to 2015, we have a compounded annual gross return of 32% per annum. So that means if you see how much the market has exploded in the last in this time frame of only 10 years. Of course, the 133 is a prediction, but if it comes true, it is really that explosive. So now I'd like to jump directly into the topic. My topic is actually talking about education, right? So education, how does the future classroom look like? Can you jump 2 slides? So basically, next one, please. The pandemic impact on the various sectors is clear. I mean, the quality of the education has actually decreased. Studies in many countries around the world have shown that the effectivity of learning online, if it only is online, is actually around 40%, not more than that. There's a lot of problems of students, but also lecturers, teachers to teach only online without meeting anybody. Another impact is that unemployment don't jump. Unemployment increases, and also the poverty rate increases, and the economic growth, as we all know, decreases. In fact, we have at the moment no growth. It's actually a minus or negative. So what is basically the consequence of that? There's a so-called digital touch on the next slide. Can I have the next slide? Yes, thank you. So basically, many things are done from home. Work from home, school from home, shop from home, seminar from home. Like right now, I'm here in my home office. Also, we have medication, telemedicine, online financial transaction. Basically, the whole bagage, everything is basically online. And from home. Actually, it can be from home, can be from anywhere, and from the car. But of course, now being confined to our own premises in this COVID situation, most of us are staying as much as we can. So the world in the so-called old normal, whenever it has fully transitioned to the new normal, because what we see right now is actually not the new normal. It's only a glimpse of a part of the new normal. The new normal will be having a severe, substantial part of online, but it will not be online only. The effectivity of many things has gone down, and we have to bring it up again. But there are some positive lessons about what we can do better, or cheaper, or actually faster if we do online. Like webinars, I think are a very good substitute for a seminar, because if you look at a seminar, sometimes it's very hard to organize because people cannot really congregate at the same time in the same place from all over the world. It's much easier if you do it online. Can I have the next slide, please? So this shows clearly how the pandemic has indeed affected education. You see the blue ones are remaining fully open with the schools. The pink ones, or the dark pink ones, are partially open, and some are totally closed. These are the dark, I would call it violet ones. And so you see it's a different reaction of different countries because of the different impact of the pandemic in those countries. So what does it do? What is in Indonesia? So you see in page number 12, you see the quality of teaching material. I think this is a polling that has been done by the ministry itself. It's basically showing that the overwhelming, majority of the participants have basically said that the quality is actually good or very good. Some are moderate, some not good, etc. But the condition of the internet condition is actually a challenge. You can see that the infrastructure, what I meant before, and it could be the connection speed, it could be the quality of the video, that could be the availability of the tools. I mean, either the screens or the mobile phones or the tablets, that is partially not stable yet or not ready at all. So you see there we have a big challenge ahead of us. And what does the government do in the meantime? Page number 13, please. So you can see that the government is actually embarking upon 13, please. Embarking upon a few initiatives. They're all laid out in Indonesian here, but basically there are a few initiatives. You can see that the number of participants is still relatively low, but there is a package available for internet data support. And you see the numbers on the right-hand side with either between 35 to 50 gigabyte per month. I think in today's world, actually not that much, but at least it's a beginning, and I think it's the right way to do. We need to definitely support our people in Indonesia with more facilities, which they otherwise cannot afford. It is crucial for today's education in the current situation, because we cannot go offline. But even beyond this, our thinking for Matikas is this should be sustained to a certain level, because many of our fellow countrymen cannot afford it, but they need it very much in order to empower themselves, either with educational support, health support, or other government services they need to have. So let's jump a little bit to what education actually. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. This is basically a very current assessment of the work that we see. So if you think about education as a target, or learning as a target, it has to prepare us for the future of the work. Well, the future of the work, how can we find it out? Because right now we are not in the new normal, right? Yet many things have to be transformed, has to be restructured, and we're still waiting for that to happen. So how can we do this? Well, we can look at three components: the component of the work itself, the component of the workforce, and the workplace. And you ask certain questions. Say you ask, what work can be actually automated? Who can do the work? What type of skills does one have to have in order to do that kind of work? And lastly, where can we do this work? If you rethink this, you will come up with some new thinking, some new concept how to actually execute future work. And that's not only the future work itself, but also the future professions. So the skills, there would be new professions, new jobs, let's say new job definitions. So, but we don't know exactly how some of these will look like, but we know the skills that they need to have. And I'll give you a list here on the right hand side. Basically, it says you need to have analytical thinking and innovation skills, active learning, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, etc., etc. I think I don't want to read it out, but this is actually needed for the future of work. Can I have the next slide, please? So now I like to say a few words about the future classroom. So we believe actually that the future classroom will be a blendedness. So there is something still in-person learning somewhere. It could be in a classroom, it could be in a maker space. I'll talk more about that later. It could be remote, it could be either in the cafeteria of the school, or it could be at home or in a bus or wherever. But that part of remote learning is basically what I call the future, or not the part, but the whole thing, the whole system I call the future classroom. The classroom is not really a room, but maybe a class space. Yeah. So basically, you have different localities to do different things, but it all leads to the same thing: your personal learning goal. Because learning will be very much individualized, and I think that's very good. Because one thing for all doesn't work very well. So can I have the next slide, please? 16. So this is a short definition of what we call digital intelligence. There's basically three components that we found, especially digital citizenship. Then the digital creativity and digital entrepreneurship is actually on a very high level, because you have to have some self-initiative, also the skills that you need to have as risk-taking and risk management, basically, for yourself or whatever you do. That's not necessarily only in the business context, but to take on risk and to manage it well and to basically manage it to a positive result. Sometimes it's negative, but that is even also a good result sometimes, because you can learn from it. But that translated, transformed, transposed into a digital sphere is something which we call an important part of digital intelligence. Now let me jump to the next slide, 17. So basically digital competence. You see I basically subdivide this chart into three. There's the educator with his or her professional competencies. I don't want to read it out here. Then you have the pedagogic competencies of the educator and the learners. Basically they have that too, and if all of them need to have a certain type of digital competence. And this is not only to have a information media literacy or certain communication skills, but they do need to be aware about it. For the educator, it might be different to teach on a screen than to teach, say, in person in the classroom in front of everybody. Also, they need to have I think the emphasis of a future teacher is more on the mentoring, it's more on the coaching, it's more on the giving motivation rather than do the plain vanilla giving information. That can be given to a computer where you have a pre-recorded video that everybody watches, but then of course after that everybody has questions and they have to be answered individually. I think much more time will be laid on answering questions and evoking discussion that will lead to answers that will be realized in a group manner. I think that is very important. Now the last three slides here, I'd like to say a few words about the future, how we actually keep up with that. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Slide 18. So basically, slide 18 shows you a glimpse into what I think the future of the design philosophy of learning will be. It will be much about STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And you see on the lower bottom here, you see the previous, philosophy is one size fits all. That's an extreme case. You can further individualize it, either for groups of students or even individual students, but still in a classroom, or you go straight to the future of it, which is basically mass customized learning. So the school system continuously meets the individual and personal needs of each learner through so-called transformational technologies. So can I have the next slide, please? So basically, we're talking in the future actually more about project-based learning. So learning complicated, relatively abstract matters like science and tech and engineering and math, even arts can be quite abstract. You better understand that you're basically hands-on. You need to be hands-on and do a project and then basically do it in a group manner. Not everybody needs to have a technology background. Everybody can do it these days. Technology is made more and more easy, but but more and more people, because of I don't know why, they basically, if you see the number of tech students wherever we are in the world, is actually declining. So therefore, I think it's better to motivate young people with basically about technology, that this is not an abstract thing. You can do it yourself. Actually, it has to be hands-on. That leads already to the third slide. Can I have slide number 20, please? So basically, in the future, we need to mix basically hands-on with classroom teaching. So the so-called makerspace approach, where we allow students to explore objective with a hands-on approach within the curriculum, of course, is I think paramount. So the next slide, please. The hackathon. That is, I think, a keyword that is used in today's teaching landscape. Basically, within short time, like say 48 hours without sleep, perhaps. No, of course, I'm joking. You have to basically build something that solves a problem either in your community or in the city or even in the world. But something, come up with a prototype, do it in a group manner. People that participate in your group are from different backgrounds, so communication skills is very important, but also leadership skills. And you can see it is not only a promise that you can fulfill in hackathon, but you have the experience, so that it's fast, you can clearly see it, and you have the experience. And I think that is paramount in for learning experience, is really that personal experience that you get from it. And through that, you get insights and motivation to do more things. So I'm already in the last slide here. Basically, I like to summarize here that ICT has actually an important role. I think it goes without saying. Then the COVID actually has not only transitioned us, but actually pushed us already into the a part of the new normal without us wanting it, but we are there already. And it is absolutely important to strengthen digital capabilities and competences by adopting curriculum and learning method and talent. It's all about talent. Young people, or also older people like myself, I think we should be always aware that learning is endless. We will never stop. We should never think of ourselves that we should not learn anything anymore. Learning is actually not something burdenful, but it's something that has great joy, and it's very satisfactory, and therefore I think everybody should embark on the journey of learning for the rest of his or her life. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the questions later on in the session. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Very great presentation from Pak Ilham. Amazing, Pak. So this slide is very rapid, clear, and structural. Yeah. So we need some innovation from the education, right, to keeping up our digital talents, right, for the future. So that's very nice as an opening for us, right, to open our mind that we have to change, especially on education, because the future is our children and so on. So I think that's very important for us.
You can actually put on the last slide, you can see how to contact us. I forgot that. If you do the very last slide, how to contact us. Yeah.
Great.
If somebody wants some more literature, it's all in Indonesian, but still, maybe you want to download it. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, this is free for download, right?
Sorry?
This is free for download, right? For download?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's all of it. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thanks so much, Pak Ilham. So actually we have some question, but if you don't mind, if you can wait until a panel discussion, we also can talk to much and more about the question and so on. Is that okay, Pak Ilham, or you have to leave?
No, I can wait. No problem.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, great from Pak Ilham, and let me invite Prof. Nizam. Prof. Nizam, are you there? Can you hear me? Yes, I can see you, Prof. Yes, I also can hear you. Okay, Prof. Nizam, thanks for coming for this session. So this is a very good time to meet you, right? Even virtually, yeah. But this is very nice to meet you, Prof. Nizam. Please offer to you for the opening.
Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to share with all of you participants in this webinar. You know how to share. Sorry, I'm not used to this platform.
Let me put you as the presenter, yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, if you see on your screen, you can just click it.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So yes. So sorry, my slide is in Bahasa. This is adaptations of our education in coping with the pandemic. So we all face the mega disruptor of the century, and as early as first week or second week of March, actually the Ministry of Education already announced every schools, every universities to work from home, study from home, and keep health practice at home. And we also mobilize our faculty of medical faculties and also our academic hospitals to be ready and prepare for the COVID-19 test, and also to prepare our academic hospitals to handle with the COVID-19 patients. And by April, more than 8,000 tests of COVID-19 can be conducted by our faculty of medical within the country. That's about half of the national capacity at that time. We also prepare 18,000 beds in our training centers for self-isolations, and we also mobilize our students to help with the mitigation of COVID-19. We also push our universities, our researchers to do applied research on medical equipments and many related to COVID-19 medications. We also realized that the COVID-19 not only affect the health but also the economy of many of our students' parents. So we reallocated some budget, quite a huge budget, to help for more than 400,000 students for their tuition fees. So the government pays the tuition fees of more than 400,000 students, both from private and public universities, in addition to for that same number that already on scholarships. We also currently give all students from kindergarten to university students free access to the internet to do the online learning. As we saw a very rapid transformations from physical classroom into virtual classroom within 1 month after the announcements. Almost all universities, for more than 4,000 universities and higher education in Indonesia, already transferred into online learning. So this is amazing, given the short preparations to shift to digital learning. At the same time, we prepare the infrastructure with the Ministry of Communication and Informations. First of all, to whitelist all those academic sites to be available and free access from students, so they don't pay for the connections. And also, we realized that many of the universities are not ready with the modules, not ready with the platform. So we prepared at national level the national LMS platform that can be used for free for all our universities and higher education, more than 4,000 of them. And many also not ready with the modules, so we prepare more than 3,000 modules accessible to all students and lecturers. We also collaborate, for instance, with the Google to provide the Google Suite for universities, students, and institutions to use the platform for free. This is Pada Indonesia. This is the repository platform for sharing. More than 240 higher educations share their content, share their resources. More than 3,000 modules put into this platform to be accessible to all students. When we conduct survey about 1 month after the announcement, with more than 200,000 respondents, covering from Aceh to Papua, all the provinces are represented. And by the 9th of April, that's about 1 month after the announcements, almost all universities and higher educations already go online. And we see that handphone become the new campus. So all the classroom shifted into cell phone, smartphone. And we see that in the beginning, teachers only translate from what happened in the classroom into virtual classroom, which eat lots of data quota from the students, and there are many complaints, many issues raised by students and lecturers because of the cost of connections. And by the third week after the initiations of transformations into the online learning, many already use asynchronous mode and mixed mode. This is the application most used: Google Classroom, Zoom, and others like Webex and many platforms. In terms of student readiness, as we can see, many are quite ready, but also some proportion, 27%, still not so ready with the online learning. But fortunately, many students feedback to us that on average, the lecture delivery is quite well delivered, both in terms of delivery as well as the quality of delivery. And the availability of modules, the availability of learning materials is also relatively good. More than 45% say that is good and very good. 27% say it's fair. But the problem is with the internet connections, and that is the big issues concerning the online learning. But what is positive is that although the connection is poor, not as well as it has to be, but the correlations between the connections and the student understanding or the learning is not so high. That means even the connection is not that good, but the understanding or the learning still happening well. But what gave a good correlations is between the readiness of students as well as of teachers and the lecture modules is very significant into the student achievement. So that is the strategy that we put forward to prepare our teachers more ready to go online, and also to improve the modules and to improve the learning materials. And as we see here, there are many good things from online learning, like it's a new experience. It's also give more relaxed and more flexible time to learn, and then in the conventional or traditional way of learning. But the big problem is again still on the connections and the infrastructures. But when we ask students whether they prefer the online or offline, most of them, almost 90%, say that offline learning is still more meaningful to them than the offline learning, than the online learning. So we see rapid transformations, and we also see that the quality of learning is not compromised, and handphone become the new campus. But the problem is with the connections and coverage of the connections. So looking at the survey, this is what we do. This is what we did. We provide training for our lecturers, our professors, to better use of the technology. So within 1 month, we provide this training. No, not 1 month, 2 months. More than 100,000 lecturers attended this training, this workshop and training, to strengthen the use of technology for learning, for assessment, and managing the class. And we also provide some incentives for our lecturers to prepare for a better modules. So in addition to 3,000 that are already in our repository, there are 600 new modules developed during this past few months. We also strengthen the connections into remote places, and also strengthen the platform for sharing. what is interesting is that education and higher education is not only about learning, but it's also about values. It's about education. Education is more than just learning of a subject. So in terms of developing values, developing the spirit of togetherness, gotong royong, and all other competencies, the three dharma of branding, or the three missions of universities, we still carry out that through many activities like student volunteerism in helping with investigations, and also student projects, and also research from students under the supervision of lecturers and professors. We see that during the pandemic, quite a lot of invention and innovation came out from university. More than 1,000 inventions resulted from university research, and also from public services. We continue that activities. So beyond online, we mobilize our students to do volunteer activities like helping with the promotions, mitigations, giving information, educations to the public on how to cope with the pandemic. More than 15,000 students join these activities. Up till now, there are many of them still continue these activities. And what they do is translate into credit point, part of their learning, because they do get competencies, get experience from these activities. And also we know that for higher education students, moving online is not a big issue, but for small kids at elementary schools, this is a big problem. So we developed this campus mengajar activities that is volunteer from campus, because many of the students still work from home, study from home, so they can help teachers in delivering educations, learning to their neighbors, kids in their neighborhoods. The student can help teachers to teach those kids, and also helps teachers that is not used to use technology in delivering teaching. These students can help the teachers. We also conducted what we used to have in a physical normal situations, that is student exchange between universities. We conducted through online exchange. So students can take courses from different universities, make friends, have a joint project together with students from other universities, and this has been conducted virtually. So Permata Sakti, Pertukaran Mahasiswa Nusantara, Sistem Alih Kredit berbasis teknologi informasi. This is basically student exchange, making use of technology. And also, not only students in Faculty of Medicine, nursing, pharmacy conducted voluntary works, but also in other fields. They make face shields, disinfectants, hand sanitizer, and many practical devices that they develop and distribute to hospitals and to the public. This is a really great activities from our students. Tens of thousands of them do these activities and helps relieve the pressure from the pandemic. And also research. So as I mentioned earlier, more than 1,000 invention innovation came out from university, from simple disinfectant chamber into more sophisticated like smart drone for surveillance, UV sterilizations, robotic nurse, smart swab chambers, rapid tests, serum, and many devices like these ventilators. More than 10 prototypes came out from universities, and not only become prototype, but they go into productions. Hundreds of ventilators as a result of joint production from university and industries already being used in many of the hospitals. This is another invention, portable negative chamber, the latest one of the Chinos, the sensor for COVID detections using breathe, using the breathing of normal person or someone that is suspect of COVID, and the accuracy is more than 98%. This is a really good thing. It's now going into productions. We also conducted the thematic field service or KKN thematic for COVID-19. That means students help the community to cope with the economic pressures and also with the health issues. As I mentioned earlier, Kampus Mengajar and also Duta Pengubah Perilaku, that is the ambassador of COVID-19 culture shift, going into the new normal, and also the economic recovery. So these are the activities that currently are ongoing. And the lesson learned that we get is that rapid adaptations we can see from our educations, and this transform our educations into a new platform, new way of educations by using technology in one hand, but at the same time we can still deliver educations, not only learning, not only transfer of knowledge of learning, but also educations. And the creative energy coming out from university is really increasing compared to in normal situations. More than 1,000 inventions and innovations came out from university within a few months of this pandemic. The spirit of gotong royong, spirit of togetherness, helping one with the other is very strong. So it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. So I think that's conclude my presentations. Thank you very much for the time and patience.
Thank you, Prof. Nizam. Very good presentation. So, pandemic is give some positive things here because student is pushed to become digital, right? Previously only do online and so on, right? But because of COVID, everybody's going online, and then government also preparing very well, provide the platform and some program. So I think that's very nice. We can see all students currently is adaptable for the technology, right? Not only using a book and so on and traditionally, but also they are very engaging for the technology. And this is make us the acceleration for the digital transformation. That's very nice. Okay, thanks so much, Prof. Nizam. Let's move on to next speaker. We also have very nice speaker here. So I would like to introduce you to Dr. Mardani. Dr. Mardani coming from University of Gadjah Mada in Yogyakarta, right? So this is very good session. Talk about the creative space. So we are wondering what is creative space in education, right? So over to you, Dr. Mardani. Halo, Dr. Mardani. Halo, Pak Dani. Can you hear me? Hello, sorry, I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Okay, great. Yes. Okay,
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. First, thank you very much, Pak Irfan, for the time and AWS that give me time to share and give some lesson learned that we have done in our university and also involving the community around us. Before I start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mardani Yasdiawan. I am lecturer in Department of Computer Science and Electronics, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Science, Universitas Gadjah Mada. It's very great pleasure to be here with Prof. Nizam and Pak Ilham Habibi. Today, I would like to giving some idea and also what we have done in the creative space platform that we try to develop and build and also implement until today, that giving us the opportunity to giving impact the community to better education environments. Yeah, I try to share my presentation. Okay, I think I will using this one. So what we want to discuss about the creative space. Creative space, actually, what we want to discuss is about the concept of education transformation, especially when we push the transformation because of the pandemic and also the current situation that we face, not only in the higher education but also in the elementary education, intermediate education, and the high level of the education. But we also to see that education transformation came across into the home, not only just in the campus or on the school, but also in the home. Like now, for example, we do the webinar, but beside me, we also have children that we need to assist. We are not only a lecturer, but also a teachers in the home, and then also sometimes we also have to be the voluntary teachers to give the knowledge to another community, maybe outside of our home. And secondly, we have a question about the competitiveness of our nation education quality, for example. So it will be very important, because even we have pandemic, for example, but we still need to fight about the competitiveness. We need to fight because I think the development of technology, the development of industry, it doesn't care about the pandemic or something, but we will be move fast, and also the education need to move fast to build the competitiveness. And the second is about the education, that I want to say about the benchmark about education as a system or culture, actually, because we need Indonesia is very unique, because we not only just the country that have a good capability on the system, but also have a very deep culture that make us have a local wisdom, and then we will impact it on the ecosystem of education itself. Yeah. And then I would like to invite you to start small and facilitate. That's the main concept of our creative space, actually. Okay, so I would like to share with you. This is our current situation. I think today, yeah, we have a classroom in many forms. Yeah, for the first in the first picture, you can see in maybe not all across the Indonesia, but in some spot Indonesia we still found it. And believe it or not, I still found it in the near of Yogyakarta. About 3 hours driving from Yogyakarta, you can find the classroom like this one. So that will be the challenge. I don't want to discuss about the form of the class, but how we can the current situation, the limitation of facility, not become the obstacle, but challenge to build the creative space in there. And then I will show you in the lesson learn about it. And then from the news, we can see that we have the students still have difficulties to access the internet, to access the material of the education, to discuss with the teacher and so on. So we can see this one. So this will be another challenge to create the creative space. And of course, maybe in the city and in the some region of our city, we have a good creative classroom, appropriate classroom that make students came to the class and then do the activity. But unfortunately, the class now empty because of the pandemic. So we need to bring the creative space into our bedroom. So that will be our challenge. And so, what the direction? I think we have some issue in the education direction, maybe in the near years. Yeah. For the first is curriculum transparency. What I mean about the curriculum transparency is not about just publishing the curriculum structure, but we need to make people understand about the curriculum's way to go in the field. For example, we need to catch the understanding of the parents that understand about the curriculum itself. So can you imagine that for example, like this situation, the parent will be the teacher, but unfortunately the teacher, that a parent now doesn't know about the curriculum structure itself. So it will be very difficult to directing the children, to directing the student in the house, in the home, to do what the lecturing objective that we want to gather. So it will be difficult because the curriculum is only the consumption of the teacher, of the lecture. But how about the parent, for example? And then the second is accessibility for education, all education level. I think we need have some tight border between the higher level of education for SMA or SMK, and then in the elementary, there is no sharing material in there, so it will be very difficult. For example, like today, I think maybe the education for higher level of education, it will be more easy because they have a resource to establishing the online activities. But how about the sekolah dasar, for example? It's very difficult. Even the ministry have a good program that provided the quota for the teacher and student, but unfortunately, we need still to have that issue. So we need to have the accessibility for all education level. I give you some idea how if we make some CSR or corporate social responsibility of the campus to giving the bandwidth quota to the school near the campus, for example. It will be very amazing that the community can be a gotong royong, like Prof. Nizam said before. And then the third is sharing resources. I think now it's time good for us to do that one, because for me, I'm a lecturer, but actually I can do a teacher using online and teach the sekolah dasar in Mandiri, for example. So it will be very easy. So that's I mean that's the sharing resources. We need willingness to all of the participants of education to be a resource that can be a sharing to all of the education level. And I'm agree with Pak Ilham Habibi about the STEM education, and also we need to get attention in humanity, art, and social, because what I said before, this is not only just education as system, but also the culture, the humanity side, and the sensitivity of issue. Carry each other is very important now. So we need to combine it into not only single education system, but also education system and cultures. And the third is scalable. How we can integrate it, the system from the elementary school into the higher level of campus, for example. And then we need to connect it each other. Not only just the material, but also how we want to build resources as a production of education. And this is the future forward. I think what I want to say, I want to share it. The first is we need the comprehensive and long-term period of roadmap. So I believe the ministry has already settled this plan, and we need to open education system that not only just accessible from the internet, but also can be open to all level of education to come to campus, for example. Before pandemic, I opened my class, which is a big data class for a junior high school, for example. They came to my to class, and then I teach them as like a student in the campus. So this is interesting. They have many ideas, then they have insight from that material. So let's open the door, and then let them come in, and then we can push to the more enhancement quality. And then education resource sharing is very important. And then innovation and creativity base. I think Prof. Nizam has already said a lot about the innovation in the campus, but we also need the innovation in the sekolah dasar, SMP, and SMA. So we do in Yogyakarta, for example. I have one SMP in Yogyakarta. We try to help to manage them, that students even in the house, in the home, they do the project, the social project based activity that they can run in their own neighbors. For example, they build their own library in the Poskamling. They build a sharing Wi-Fi for education in masjid, in gereja, and so on. So and then they try to make like a saving tube for, in Bahasa Jawa we call celengan, but to pay the quota, for example. So that's very interesting. They came with the problem solution, real problem solution in the community by themselves, that came from the student in SMP, for example. That's very good. And then of course we need the latest is supportive and communicative and culture based supporting education. So this will be very important. And what the approach? I think I believe that we can do the project-based learning. I think already mentioned by Pak Ilham Habibi. I very agree with this, because the project-based learning is very important today. Not only they can understand about the context of the theory, but they also can place the theory between the problem, and then they get the solution. Based on that process, they will learn a lot about the many materials for it. And then this is our purpose model actually that we will try to build in our laboratory about the education system that combining involving the industrial, community, and current issue. We try to capture the problem discovery on it, and then the problem discovery will be scooping in the little in the one spot of problem, and then we share to the student, and then they will try to build like a solution or maybe innovation that based on the real problem in the community or industry. And then they can use like a business case, and then they do the business and technology development, like run a startup or something, and then they have the product. So it's very interesting. We have run about 3 semesters, and then we're very happy because a lot of product and innovation and also real solution came from this processes. And yeah, that's we call it start small and puzzling. We call it the Legoing. So this is, we try not to give the student the big problem, but very little problem. But the little problem will be combined with another solution. Will be solve all the problem. So we place the student to be the one component that's very important in the community. So that will be our purpose models. Yeah, and also, we need the technology support, that advanced technology support for education. Yeah, we do this one. I think the education system that we already run today need to enhance with the advanced technology that can make enhancement and quality of education. For example, the outcome-based assessment. Currently, we have this model, but unfortunately, it's like a survey. So we're collecting the number of data. But how are we using the big data? We gather from the various parameter in the internet or something, and then we gather in, and then we blend into the outcome-based assessment analysis. So we can do the big data analysis on it. Yeah, for example, like that one. And then we also do the, for example, easy AI for easy assessment and scoring. I think it's very. This is my experience about 3 years, last 3 years with the Puspendik Kemdikbud Republik Indonesia. We develop tools of AI to assess the easy answer of students. But the most important thing is we're not just scoring, but we also can analyze and assess how the student answer the question. So that's very important because it is reflected all the learning outcome that we want to deliver in the education activities. And then this is very, I think all of you may be familiar with this. We call it the gamification. This is very familiar. I think this is the concept that we place the game style into the learning activity. So the student will be very liking to follow the education activity with quiz, game, and etc. And what the lesson learned, we do some project in what we call it G-Connect. This is the component of our project in the last 3 years. We integrated the student from the campus until the sekolah dasar in one area, and then we came with the problem with the landslide problem in that area, and then we do a lot of activity in one semester to bring them to think about how they want to live with that risk. And it's very interesting. We also have not only just the education, the formal education, but also the mitigation education of the disaster. And we already done that one. And then now we want to copy paste to another area because Indonesia, I think we have a lot of challenge on the disaster. And also this is let's say Pak Nizam, we also involved in the COVID-19 response that we built students bring in one voluntary team, and then we built the big data platform application to detect the COVID using the tongue, for example, and we built also the bilik in antiseptic, for example, and then we deliver it across in Jakarta. So this is we have currently we have a student about 300 students involved in this project, and until now you can see from the March until November we still going on to deliver this one. So it will be very good if we can combine it with the campus integrated way. And of course, now we also have the challenge. I think the deep technology learning experience in education is also need to be attention. I think, yeah, we know we have a very hype, a lot of content application from TikTok, from YouTube, and so on. But unfortunately, mostly consists of the very very entertaining content. But we need flooding that channel with a lot of learning experience. So I now we try to build like flooding the Instagram TV with the material of the theory and so on. So, but unfortunately, of course, we deliver with the fun way. So yeah, this is our imagination, yeah, for the future. So the future classroom will be like in the stadium. We can see all the students with their style. They can rebahan, they can sit in the chair, they can do something with maybe like what they call it, ngemil and so on. But we still play under our role in the education. That's it, Pak Tovan. Thank you very much for the time, and I bring back to you the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for Dr. Mardhani. Very nice. So very creative, yeah. So
Yeah.
you engage with anything, right? Amazing. Yeah, I think people from Jogja is very creative, right? Create many things, right? Even before COVID, you did many things for the disaster and so on. So I think that's very nice. Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Mardhani. We meet again on the panel discussion because we have so many questions here.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, the last presentation we have very high-level people from AWS. So I would like to introduce you to Vincent Hua. Vincent is the head of the education, healthcare, and non-profit organization in APJ, Asia Pacific and Japan, AWS. Over to you, Vincent.
Thank you, Pak Yopan. Thank you to every other speaker before me, Professor Nizam, Dr. Bibi, as well as Dr. Mardhani. Really appreciate your perspective on this. I know we have overrun quite a bit of time, so I want to quickly just go through what I prepared and wanted to share with you. What's the context of my presentation today? I entitled it Access for All, in the sense that we are thinking about how do we help schools and institutions become prepared and ready to continue to deliver teaching and learning to all their students, but not just teaching and learning, but also the business of running education, right? How not to let schools stop while the pandemic is happening, or any other situation that might create a situation where the schools are not openly available to students to go to, or things will have to be done online. But regardless it is, everyone from today onwards, if you have not figured out that you need a digital strategy, you've got to have one digital strategy moving forward. And this cannot be a better time to do it because we are all learning from this current situation. So let me quickly share with you what I wanted to talk about today. The first is about three observations. One is that with the pandemic, the government needs to respond very rapidly to all that is happening as a result of the pandemic. So it's about responding rapidly, but it's also about scaling the responses. And so this is very important, simple words, but very, very critical, right? You're closing schools, you're closing your businesses, you're closing all the small, medium enterprises. How to do that? How do you control and manage the situation? So it's about fast response, and it's about scaling your response. That's the first key observations that we are seeing when the pandemic hit us. Then the second observation is what happened to the higher education institutions? They are closed. What is happening to the higher education institutions in the next 12, 18 months? Some are not even sure that they will be open, like the statistic that I put there. 41% don't know if they're going to open when the term starts. And we know this is still happening, and we know that there's a second wave coming. Then what are the three things that higher education needs to prepare themselves so that they can deliver quality education. It's really about operational planning and the financial help. You've got to manage your costs. You've got to change the way you write instructions and deliver content or on the web and in the digital format. And you've got to provide better student support services. 3 things. That's higher education. What about K-12? Well, we know in April, 1.5 billion students couldn't go to school. And so we have to think of a new model. This is not said by AWS. This is actually said by many, many organizations across the world. How will this change education? And so we come to 3 main observations. And the way to think about this is think about it from a modernization perspective and a cost management perspective. Let's look at the first major topic. 1, when the pandemic came, how do institutions and organizations respond? We have worked with many, many universities and schools to mass migrate a lot of their technology and solutions over into AWS. Why? Because who can plan and predict what's going to happen? And the cloud model is perfect model for this kind of situation. You cannot plan for capacity. You don't understand when your students are coming in and going out. How then can you expect to plan for capacity? To say, oh, do I need 10 million website access, or do I only need to prepare for 1 million website access? You can't tell. And so it's very difficult. And migrating to the cloud as well as the content helps institutions respond rapidly and to scale up. The first 2 words that I've used previously. The second is really about a lot more of our education customers and institutions turn to solutions provided by edtechs and publishers. Why? Because these companies have solutions that are able to address your pain points. Dr. Madani talked about assessment online. We're now talking about online and more online assessments because the students have to take the tests and exams from home or from wherever they are. I have a younger daughter. She's 19. She's doing all her learning online from a learning management system that is running on AWS from a university. And she has also had to take the assessment from that system as well. And so the reliance on EdTech allows institutions to move very, very quickly and to provide better student experience, which is one of those points that I raised in my second area of observation. Third is really about rapid creation of new apps and platforms and content. Right? It's already said and shared. Most people in Indonesia access through mobile, right? And therefore, we need to think about how quickly to repurpose the content so that we can deliver it to mobile. What makes a good mobile learning experience? Whether is it for K-12 environment or whether is it for tertiary environment, both are very different. K-12 needs a very different instructional design. So does tertiary education. And so you got to look at it very, very differently and very, very specifically. But we need to also think about training, getting the teachers and the faculty trained and being able to deliver content online. And so those are some of the key observations that we need to think about. And the next few slides, I'm just going to go quickly on some of the examples that we have seen that have been very, very successful to address these key observations. The first case study, the first few case studies would be the Jordanian government and the Egyptian government over here at the 2 ends of the slide. For the Jordanian government, they rely on an EdTech partner. The EdTech is called Maudu 3, built the services on AWS. Guess what? In a matter of weeks, able to have and deliver 35 million views of their classrooms and their classes to 2 million students. No problem. Why? It is the cloud that enabled them to scale rapidly and to be able to deliver them with a consistent user experience. In the Egyptian government example, they also had very, very little time to respond. And in 5 hours of launch, they had 7.3 million page views, 500,000 users. Now the question for you and I is, do we plan to buy equipment for 10 million page views, or do we plan to buy equipment for 1 million page views, which may be the steady state when things have come to a more consistent level? Either way, one, if you are buying equipment to address a 1 million page view, you're not going to be able to deliver service when you have more people coming in. If you buy too many and too much, you're wasting your resources and you're not optimizing how your investment is going to drive better experience. The cloud allows you to address both issues and scale when you need to scale and move quickly when you need to move quickly. And this is what they did with our partner, ThinkQ. I'm going to also talk about a few examples from Southeast Asia. AMA education system, a private, well, yes, but it doesn't matter, it's still the same issue. A private provider, education service provider in the Philippines, guess what they can do? Achieve more than 50% of their time to innovate and growing with using the cloud, right? So they're able to save costs. You look at what they have done right now. On the average, we need a minute to maintain 4 seconds or less of loading time when opening our LMS from anywhere in the country. And we consistently achieve this by using AWS. And that's how the cloud is able to scale and to provide that access to their user. In Indonesia, we have two examples. One of them is UNPAS. And this is really about building resilience and to provide for disaster recovery. In a typical situation, disaster recovery is hot and cold, right? Hot is where you have all your system running at full capacity and right serving all your users. The cold is only activated when you need to fail over, but it's not really running. What we did with them, because of the way that we design our infrastructure, they are able to have hot disaster recovery capability. Very, very critical. But that also means that you're backing up for each other in both sides through our availability zone, which is done in a very, very interesting way. Look at what they say in the quotation. After we moved the academic server to AWS, we benefited from convenience. We no longer need to think about maintaining and managing physical infrastructure. Oh, that means you don't have to address tasks which are lower value, but able to do more important things and more innovative things. And to finish it off, they say we can simply scale vertically and horizontally when we need to increase server capacity when the transactions are high. And so it is very, very important. And so with that, they reduce in capital costs and they reduce manpower resources spent in maintaining servers and move that extra resources so that they can do more important things. The last example is that of an Indonesian edtech, CIMAC Online. And within that very critical period in April-May timeframe, they worked very closely with the Ministry of Education and Culture in Indonesia, onboarded more than 100 schools so that the schools can continue to run. Look at some of the benefits that they are able to deliver to the schools, the teachers, as well as the students. Generated more than 2.3 million exams, goes to the online assessment point that was raised earlier. All these were done because they had an exam database of 600,000 questions. What is more important? Teachers saved 130,000 hours from administrative tasks, examination tasks. Think of all the time saved. Think of all the hours that the teachers can dedicate to more important activities. And this is just an example of how an edtech is able to deliver a better experience to the users. And so just want to end with this slide. Here's just some of the education customers that we are working with, that we have permission to use their logo. You see very, very big names here. And we're happy to just talk with everybody if you wish to know more. And over to that, I pass it back to Pak Yopan. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Vincent. So AWS did many things here in Indonesia for the education. We're working with many universities, including EdTech, right, to help education in Indonesia. That's very nice. That's very nice. Okay, so now it's time for the panel discussion. So I would like to invite all of speakers to turn on your video. Yes, thank you. So let me share my screen then. Okay, where is my... Okay, cool. Yes. Yep. Okay, so we have so many questions actually, but because of time, we have to choose for each speaker. So, okay, maybe let's start with Dr. Ilham Habibi. So we have a question here. It is just a very big territory and a huge population, right? And is it possible to Indonesia will cover all data for the various into one big data as you mentioned before? Over to you, Dr. Ilham. Hello, Pak Ilham, can you hear me? Yes, you're on mute. Yes.
Yeah. I couldn't mute myself because it was unmute. It was muted by you, so I couldn't do that. Okay.
Apologize.
Now I was unmuted. Okay, that's why I did like this, because you have to unmute me. Anyway, thank you for the question. It depends on what the result should be. Actually, for big data approaches in AI, the bigger the database, the better. Yeah, so if you want to subdivide it into smaller, it doesn't make sense really. If you want to have good quality analysis about the data, the more the better. So from a scientific standpoint of view, it does not make sense to subdivide into clusters. However, if you want to have maybe if the topic is geographically limited, say you want to have an analysis about the rainforest in Riau or the Dayaks in Kalimantan, etc., then of course, by the very nature of the question, the data is limited in size and even geographically limited. It depends on the question, but if the question pertains to the whole of Indonesia, no, it does not make sense to segregate into smaller clusters of data, but it needs to be in one database. Database means the plan. I can give a little bit insight about what the plan for this national database will be. Obviously, there will be data centers, right? So we are talking about 4 data centers. One in the capital city, one in the future capital, which we don't know what the name is right now, right? It's still mysterious. And then one will be in Batam, because that's the gateway to outside Indonesia through Singapore. And one will be in Bintan, because that's another gateway to outside Indonesia through Guam. So there will be 4 national big data centers in these 4 locations. So what data is going to be, that is maybe not yet decided. Yeah, but it is one big database. It doesn't really matter where the physical location of the data is, but what matters is we define it as one big data. One thing that needs to be said about these data centers, because it's also important, if you talk about data centers, the highest level is basically tier 4, where we don't have earthquake, tsunami, volcano, etc., and that is basically the case in Batam. Batam is like Singapore, actually geologically very safe. There is nothing like that. And also on the island of Kalimantan, meaning the future capital city, whatever the name is, and whether it will come really along, I don't know. But let's assume it will be coming along, then that part of Indonesia is also very safe in terms of geology. So there is no earthquake, no volcano, nothing. So there will be different types of data centers. So it is possible that some data will have to be in those locations because of the security aspect related to the data itself. Okay, that would be my answer. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Dr. Ilham. So the next question is to Pak Mardani. bagaimana prospek dosen? How about the prospect of lecturer in the future? Because of currently everybody using Udemy, Coursera, and so on. Yes, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Yovan. That's very good question and very challenging question actually for lecture. Yeah, but the answer I have to answer for you. The first is we should be in the middle of the jungle. What I mean in the jungle is Udemy, Coursera, and etc. We need to be there because our duty is delivering the knowledge, delivering the material, and we need to open mind that our platform is not only just classroom, not only just our MOOC platform or our e-learning platform that we run in the campus, but we need to close to in the business we call close to the market. So that's our concern. We need to be there, go to the jungle of the e-learning platform in the world, and then we deliver the content in there. Actually, I do that one, and then that is very interesting because we have a lot of feedback on that, because our course is not only just closed for our student in our campus, but it can consume to all of the students around the world. So you can see that one. When I reported to my campus, for example, it's very difficult to assess the credit that I just run for that, because the credit that we analyze is only just how many students in the class, and then we do some formula, and then we get the credit number for example. So that will be very interesting. Can you imagine that from the lecture in one material that we deliver in that platform, we can have more than 1,000 students in one time. So I have my own Guinness Book of Record, for example. Last night I just do my online lecturing using one of the proper platform, and I have about 5,000 students online in the same time. And the good way is most of the students open the video, and then we do the interaction. So that's very nice and very enlightening for me as lecturer for myself. And the second is actually our position is we need to realize that lecture is innovators discovery. So we need to be in front of that line. We not just for example, searching the internet, the material, and then share on the online platform. We need to build our own style of the lecturing, our own style of the interpretation of the books in the literature, and then we bring our own materials. We be the producer of knowledge, and then if we do that one, I think it doesn't really matter if we compete with Udemy, Coursera, and etc. We can do that one in many platforms. I think in AWS we already have that platform too. We can do I think I will go to like Instagram or TikTok, because the young people is in there. So we need to go there. We cannot just invite them and then push them to our platform. We need to go there. So it's very interesting. So it's okay. Maybe some of the issue, for example, the lecture go to be cold, for example. But we need to do that one because we need to close to the market of the education, and then we can accept by the market itself, and the main purpose to delivering the material will be very interesting. And maybe continue Pak Ilham about the data center. I'm very interesting with that because we also do the research on it, that we try to bring the model, that data center that distributed across the campus, so we can have the national power of data center not only in one place, the main location, but also we can support by our facilities, for example. That will be interesting because for me, like in UGM, we already have a supercomputer about 3,000 PC, not dedicated PC, but the staff PC that in the night that idle, we can consume as connected node and be a supercomputer that can run in same time in the night, for example. Thank you very much.
Okay, great, Dr. Mardhani. So be creative as a lecturer, not only as a traditional, because they have to compete with Udemy, Coursera, and so on. So big. Okay, very nice. Okay, last question. I would like Vincent to answer this. Related to Pak Jokowi, our President, priority for 5 points actually for digital transformation acceleration. And one point is very important thing is digital talent emergence requirements. What AWS contribute for this? Vincent?
Sure. This is a great question because it's so important for us to start thinking about this earlier rather than later. Because human resource development and skill building, it's going to take time. One of the first point I want to make is this. We are already living in a cloud-enabled economy. So by that I mean, a lot of the services that you are consuming, whether in Indonesia you're using services like Grab, Tokopedia, some of the gaming companies, Netflix, or watching TV using a Samsung Smart TV, you need to realize that all these services are already powered by the cloud, and many of them are powered by AWS. Like everything that is built on Netflix is running on AWS, and so you're benefiting from it. So you are already a consumer of the cloud, and we are already in that cloud-enabled economy. So should we just rest on being a consumer? No, obviously not. Indonesia has so much talent, and we hear from Professor Nizam how many innovations are coming out from the university, and so we know that there is a huge amount of talent and capability within Indonesia. Then how then do we help and work with Indonesia to raise this level of human resource requirement? We know that first, cloud is going to be transformative and the catalyst for many new businesses, as well as really growing this industry from strength to strength. Right? AWS, we are already growing at around 29% year over year. So which means that this is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Therefore, what we want to do is to make sure that as many people understand, knows, and get some basic knowledge about the cloud. As the same way as just normal digital literacy. So first thing I want to propose, cloud literacy to be taught the same way in which we teach digital literacy. Secondly, we need to accelerate the teaching and learning of cloud skills. And AWS have programs that provides that. First is AWS Educate, and the second is AWS Academy. We're already working quite closely with MOEC on some of these, but we need more. We need more of the universities to start teaching more about the cloud and give people hands-on experience with using the cloud. And that's what these two programs provide to the learners. And then for those in working professionals, we need to help them and give them both online learning content as well as paid training capabilities that we can deliver to them so that they can go and learn. So we need to work closely with governments and enterprises and small medium business so that they can get their people trained. Preparing the future has to start earlier rather than later. But like everything, I like the fact how this pandemic is accelerating innovation and transformation. Let's not wait for another one to drive that. Let's just get onto it as fast as possible. Whether is it through programs that AWS has or to finding other means to go and learn. Back to you, Pak Yopan.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Vincent. So I think there is one last question that's very important, and this is for Pak Ilham Habibi. So okay. Let me put then this one. Yep. Okay, the last question. I think this is very important. To Pak Ilham Habibi, accordance with the explanation you gave, according to you, how long it takes Indonesia to enter the digital learning stage accordance with other developed countries? Please, Pak Ilham.
Okay, thanks for the question. I'm actually quite optimistic that from a human resource perspective, we can be faster than other developed countries, provided that the fact that we have a very young population. 65% is below 35, Also, the speed of digital adaptation from many Indonesians, as we can see in the social media, is fast. They can get it quite quickly. However, it's at the moment more on the consumptive side, not on the productive side. But I think that is a matter of education, actually, right? And also a matter of training. I'm quite positive about that. What I see the major component is basically to get the digital infrastructure right in place. It is accessible for all and also affordable for all. Yeah, there is a lot of talk in the world, not only in Indonesia, that to make fast internet access, broadband access, digital things a human right. Yeah. I mean, that extreme people think, because if you think about the future, I mean, people might laugh at it right now, but I mean, it is something fundamental for many things that are basically piggybacking on top of it, like healthcare, like education, like social services. In the future will be more and more digital. It has many benefits. I mean, it's faster, cheaper, in many cases also better. Definitely it's transparent, etc. And so what happens if we bank many things in the future on that? So there needs to be a human right almost, yeah, at that level. So again, I mean, to go to the question, I think on one hand, I think from a population side, I'm quite optimistic that we can do it faster compared to other developed countries because of the demographics. On the other hand, I'm a little bit cautious because of the implementation of the infrastructure. And Indonesia is such a complicated country because it's so vast. Also, the island nature doesn't make it easy. I mean, thinking about the backbone, sometimes you use the fiber optics, sometimes it has to be satellite or microwave put on mountaintops to provide the backbone. I have not even talked about the last time, only the backbone. So sorry it becomes so technical, but it's basically a complicated issue. And that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ilham Habibie. Okay, because of time, actually, we have another question, but yeah, we have to end the session for this panel discussion. And thanks so much for the speakers, Dr. Ilham Habibie, Dr. Mardani, and Vincent from AWS for your presentation and great answer for of his questions. Okay, I think we are at the end of the session. So thanks so much for the speakers, Dr. Ilham Habibie, Dr. Mardani, and Vincent for AWS. Thanks so much. So please let me share the last slide for okay, just a reminder for all of you. So we are in the AWS ID Smart City Week. So we have 5 sessions really. Start from today, the cloud, and this morning public safety with IoT, and today, this afternoon we have access for education. If you want to join on the another session, we have another 2 sessions, community engagement is scaling up for healthcare. So for your attention, and also once again for the speakers, Dr. Ilham Habibie, Dr. Mardani, and also Vincent for presentation also, and as well as the answering the question. And I would like to say thank you for all of you, and see you. Thank you, Dr. Ilham. Thank you, Dr. Mardani. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to participate and contribute. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ilham. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.